customers is absolutely the biggest thing I'd miss.
They're going to be missing out on mostly the experience.
I think the next generation are going to be very limited in what they're going to be able to see.
Search for anything that you wanted and you would be able to see it.
Just walking along the shelves and seeing all the variety that was there.
We say that our customers are our family. They walk into the store, we say hello, and I've literally had 4 customers, even, just today, cry on me.
It's an age of an era.
Obviously streaming is really convenient, and I don't want to sit here and tell you that you shouldn't use Netflix or Amazon or whatever you want to use.
The age of the video rental store is coming to an end. The last brick and mortar store might survive the decade, and closing down sales like the one happening in this very store are becoming too common. Can anything truly replace your local video rental store? And what will be lost when they're all gone? My name's Andrew Cripps, and this is Last Store Standing.
Naja, ich war von Kindheit an, habe ich mich für Film interessiert und bin in jedes Kino gegangen, was für mein Alter Filme zeigte. Also ich war ein Film- und bin ein Filmverrückter. Ja? Und dann habe ich mir gedacht, ich habe mir dann einen Super 8 Projektor angeschafft, Filmprojektor, habe mir Super 8 Filme, die es damals zu kaufen gab, 1975, die habe ich mir gekauft und habe dann auch an meine Freunde Filme verliehen. Und das florierte so gut, dass ich mir gedacht habe, warum mache ich das eigentlich umsonst? Dafür könnte ich eigentlich Geld nehmen. Und dann habe ich einen kleinen Laden in Kassel aufgemacht, 20 Quadratmeter Laden, und habe angefangen, Filme und Filmprojektoren zu verleihen. Und das war so voll, der Laden. Die Leute standen bis draußen auf der Straße, weil da gab es ja noch kein Video und kein DVD und gar nichts. Da gab es nur Super 8, wenn man Heimkino machen wollte. Ja. Und dann musste ich umziehen und bin dann hier in diesen Räumen in Kassel gelandet, wo ich jetzt immer noch nach 42 Jahren bin. 8 Film abgelöst wurde durch die VCR Longplay-Kassette. Das ist so eine dicke Kassette gewesen hier. Das waren die ersten Kassetten, die rauskamen. Ne? Riesen Dinger. Ne? Und die haben wir dann auch verliehen. Danach kam dann Betamax, dann kam Video 2000, dann kam die Bildplatte, dann kam VHS, dann DVD und Blu-ray.
Und der Baum hat alles mitgemacht?
Ich habe alles mitgemacht.
Aber kann man sagen, dass VHS Betamax rauskam, dass es dann auch so einen Boom nochmal gab?
Ja, natürlich. Vor allen Dingen, als die Grenzen geöffnet wurden und aus der ehemaligen DDR die Bürger alle hier nach Kassel strömten, da war der Laden wieder brechend voll. Ne? Die hatten ein Nachholbedürfnis, sowas gab es ja bei denen überhaupt nicht. Und dann haben die in der ehemaligen DDR, oder in der ehemaligen DDR, haben die dann auch Videotheken aufgemacht. Damit fing 1975 mein Geschäft an. Ich habe diese Filme verkauft und verliehen.
From 1971 to 1981, I had the good fortune to be the Australian film representative working for the Australian Film Commission in North America. I was based in New York and Los Angeles, very much involved in the movie business. And at that time, I became aware of the struggle between JVC and Sony over the standards for the new thing that was the new kid on the block called home video.
The marketing war between Betamax and VHS began. Amongst the many competing arguments, One was that Betamax had superior picture quality, but VHS allowed for 2 hours of recording. Whilst the marketing war continued, a man by the name of Andre Blay, the head of Magnetic Video, originally just a small video duplication company, came up with a new idea. In 1977, he approached 20th Century Fox to obtain a licensing agreement to put 50 of their best films on VHS and Betamax. Magnetic Video sold the movies through a mail order club and was very successful. On the back of the cardboard-cased video was a list of other titles available. Later, this list was replaced with a synopsis of the actual film. Warner Brothers decided to involve themselves in this new market and released some of its movies under WCI Home Video, Warner Communications Incorporated. And in 1980, Disney also began offering titles like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Escape to Witch Mountain, and Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Late in 1977, George Atkinson of video station Los Angeles appeared on the scene. He bought a beta and VHS copy of the 50 titles made available by Andre Blay and started to rent them to his customers. He charged $10 per day, and his video rental business, the first of its kind in the world, was born. All around the world, independent video rental stores started to operate. The popularity of home video increased rapidly, and so did the prices set by the film studios that produced the films. The Motion Picture Association of America did not like this new and rapidly growing rental industry, arguing that it infringed on copyright. They filed a lawsuit that could have changed history. The courts ruled that rentals were legal and not infringing on the rights of studios. In response to the court's decision, studios started raising the prices of movies. By 1984, some titles were up to $79.95 retail price. VHS and Betamax players and video cassettes were still very expensive, and the side effect of the increase in price was increased movie piracy. Studios started to encode their movies with macrovision to help stop pirating. Movies with macrovision would produce a copy that fluctuated brightness and would turn out fuzzy on the screen. This stopped some pirates, but the professional pirates still found a way around the system. The major studios knew that video piracy was to be a constant problem and that video rental stores were also here to stay. So the studios enlisted wholesalers to avoid the cost of dealing individually with the growing number of rental outlets. They also came up with other strategies such as tiered pricing. By releasing top-rating movies at lower prices, they aimed to capitalize on the buyer's market, and whilst the video rental stores also got these titles at a lower price, they had to pay a significantly higher price for the other titles they wanted in their range. By the mid-90s, revenue from home video sales and rentals had overtaken theatre screening revenue. The suburban family video store had been created around the world.
It was clear after a while that VHS was going to win out, and I'm glad it did because it was a much less clunky method in my opinion. However, then I came home in 1981 to the South Australian Film Corporation and realised that we had at least 12 wonderful titles, some of the best films of the Australian film renaissance that were ready to license to home video. And home video in 1981 was just beginning to happen here. I could have licensed those to any one of a number of distributors who were knocking on our door, but instead of that I decided to do something much more adventurous and start our own distribution company for Australian home video. When I started Australian Video, I thought I'd better learn something about this business, a new business of distributing entertainment into homes on VHS cassettes. So I got myself a station wagon, I put all my sample cassettes in there, and I went on the road visiting video shops. This was mainly in South Australia. We had a sales team around Australia, of course. I just handled one little bit of it. But I was doing it for learning experience, and I was quite amazed at the people I met when I went to these video shops. I thought they'd all be people who came from the entertainment industry, people who loved films. But that wasn't always the case. I met people who had come from the white goods industry.
And honestly, you don't know what you've been missing until you get this wonderful GE combination. We didn't. We didn't have this separate freezer section with a separate door and a freezing system all its own.
They had come into this new industry that they saw as the new El Dorado. They knew nothing about films. And they would say to me, but have you got some action films? Have you got films where, you know, a lady is being chased by a gorilla through the jungle? Because that's what we want. And I said, no, I haven't. I've got the very best of Australian films. And really, you're not going to miss out if you take these on. We had We of the Never Never, we had My Brilliant Career, we had The Man from Snowy River, we had Breaker Morant. We had so many great titles to release. And so that's how our Australian video label got started.
Well, I had no idea initially. I had a friend that had a store, and this is back in '92, and she talked me into opening a small store. She helped me set it up, she helped me through the first few months, and I had no idea at that time that 23 years later I'd still be loving it, so yeah.
I got started in the industry just because I was a film student and there was a video store in college, so I just started working there in my off hours just to make a little extra cash. And I ended up working at Scarecrow by accident completely. I moved here in 2003 just because I was living in Philadelphia and wasn't real happy there. And I had a good friend with some relatives out here, so I would come to Seattle to visit, and I'd been to Scarecrow a couple of times. But I just moved out here because I liked Seattle, and I applied for a job here on a whim, and they hired me pretty much on the spot, and I've been here ever since. That was 2003, so I'm working on 14 years here.
Well, I started when I was 14, so literally it was just like my very first job ever. I was so keen, and you know, free movies, who wouldn't want that? So yeah, and then I guess it just progressed onwards. Worked here for 11 years, so become like a kind of a community member now. Everyone knows me, so yeah, it's been really fun.
I've always loved movies. I used to work in bookstores, which have a similar sort of cultural cachet, and yeah, when the opportunity arose to take over this one, I jumped at it.
Me and Joanne have, as of the 30th of June 2016, owned this store for 19 years. It is a news agency, but we do have DVDs, which was one of our core businesses up till probably 10 or 12 years ago when pay TV was first introduced out here. We are the only video store or DVD store within 200 kilometres of Whitton, so we are a bit of a go-to spot for people on properties who like to get videos on a weekly basis. So yeah.
A 4-month-old baby didn't want to stand at playpen in the office all day, so we needed a job. And we wanted something here as well in Mount Morgan, and just looked around, considered a few options, and the local video shop just went and asked the lady, and she wasn't even selling it, I don't think, but we just made her an offer, and away we went. Here we are 24 years later. So basically it's for us it was just finding an occupation and a job that we could share. So one person's in the shop, the other person's at home. And we've had people working for us over the years. But we love movies. We always love movies.
Du hast das dann hauptberuflich gemacht und hast dafür einen sicheren Job geschmissen, oder
ja,
wie?
Ich war Schriftsetzer, habe auch meinen Meister gemacht als Schriftsetzer, war bei der hiesigen Zeitung als Lehrlingsausbilder, und dann habe ich meinen Laden, den ersten Laden, stundenweise, probeweise aufgemacht, und wie ich schon sagte, es war so voll, dass ich dann gedacht habe, dann kannst du deinen Beruf an den Nagel hängen, und habe meinen Beruf aufgegeben und habe nur noch Filmverleih gemacht.
Und wie kam das so an bei deiner Familie? Und dann
ja, mein Vater hat gesagt, hör mal zu, das wird nicht lange gut gehen, das ist jetzt eine Zeiterscheinung, momentan wird es laufen, gute Besen, neue Besen kehren gut, und hat sich getäuscht. Es hat 42 Jahre angehalten.
Du hast dich aber auch nicht abbringen lassen von deinem Traum.
Nein, wenn ich mir was im Kopf setze, setze ich das durch.
Also hast du quasi mit der Videothek so einen Lebenstraum verwirklicht.
Ja, ja. Und das ist ja für jeden Menschen das Schönste, wenn man sein Hobby als Beruf machen kann. Das sollte jeder überlegen, bevor er einen Beruf ausübt, ob er ihm wirklich Spaß macht. Das ist das Wichtigste. Und mir hat das sehr viel Freude bis heute gemacht.
My dad actually had a business in the early 80s buying and selling 16mm films, etc. And my first ever job was to, when the movies arrived, I had to check all the films and watch them all. So I was paid initially 2p per reel, because it was in England, which went up to I think 5p per reel. And that was my first ever experience of movies, and we had a projector and a cinema room, etc., long before they were kind of famous and easy to do. And I remember it was also my worst ever experience. We had a copy of Top Hat with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers in it, and the reels were damaged, so it took about 6 hours to get through this reel, and ever since I've hated musicals.
I suppose like my favourite part of the job and why I like movies so much is just that like it takes you away, like it's an absolute escape from your own reality, and you can talk about it, and everyone's got a general interest in movies, so you know you want to review the latest one and you know a good action that people haven't seen, so yeah.
Growing up, movies were a very big part of my life. It's what inspired me to sort of want to work here when I was younger. I was known as the "have you seen it" guy. So I would go, if I was ever at a family function, like, oh, have you seen this film? And it used to annoy everyone, but it was very, very big to me.
The best part of my job is I get to come and get paid to play with my toys all day. You know, I get to work at the biggest video store in the world. I get to hang out with my friends who are all film nerds just like me. And I get to be around this enormous collection every day and get paid for it. It's amazing. I couldn't ask for a better place to be. It's my second home. It's my church. It's my family.
You always had a lot of fight in you.
Yeah.
What was that?
VHS was acceptable, except that it wasn't technically as good as DVD.
The change from VHS to DVD, that happened very quickly. The uptake of it was absolutely massive. People were ready for a change. There hadn't been a change in the format of how movies were done for many, many years. It meant restocking the library, really. You had to, not only did you have to start with your new releases, but you had to restock your back catalogue. So it was a big outlay over probably a period of about 2 years.
With the VHS, people tended to not switch over that quickly. I think it happened more in the city. So what we would do is we actually ran both for a long, long time, and we actually had to shift our shop location in 2009. So that was when we went out of VHS in 2009. So we still had it going, and it really did just get down to a few older fellows watching westerns, I think, on their old VHS.
I was working at the time that VHS went out the door. We flogged a lot of them off. We ended up selling a lot of them for a box for $1, and it was sad. But I don't really miss the quality of VHS. I don't think there's really an argument to be made about the improved quality of DVDs and Blu-rays.
Transition from VHS was when we came in and took over the store around that time. It was the decision that we took at that time to keep the library as a comprehensive library and a world cinema library and a documentaries and alternate library, basically. And that's cost us an infinite amount of money, basically, to do that at the time. To go from 0 DVDs basically to, I think we ended up at 40,000 at $20 each. That was a lot of money.
vielleicht was finden, ja?
Geht doch noch nebenan.
Ja, okay. Dankeschön.
Es gibt sehr viele Filme, die wir auf DVD gar nicht haben, aber auf VHS immer noch haben. Denn ich habe ja noch 3000 VHS-Kassetten auf Lager. Und ab und zu kommen die Sammler und wollen so einen Film nochmal haben in VHS. Ja, es gab viele Filme, die es nur in VHS gab, die auf DVD nie rausgekommen sind.
DVDs, I think, revitalised the video industry. I really do. Back when we first started in '94, to get one video movie was $150 to buy one movie. So you imagine when the DVDs came in, what was happening? The wholesalers were selling them to us for $90 each and selling them in the shop for $40 each. You know, that's not right. That quite quickly rectified itself, and what it meant was that with all the sell-through that was happening everywhere, that we could actually get the movies for what you now understand you can get them for at the shop. And that was a massive, massive difference, because you can get you can buy everything every week, basically.
What I remember the most, the transition between that VHS format and DVD format was mainly the chapters, the rewind thing, you know. You don't have to wait 15 minutes to rewind to a spot that, oh, you like that scene, you go chapters, boom, you're onto it. That was really, really interesting. And one of the major things I was really keen on was the behind the scenes, which you didn't necessarily have on VHS. So to me, it was fantastic to actually have that format to play with. Yeah.
People were also restocking their own personal libraries and transferring their old VHS into DVD, which suddenly meant there was this new area of revenue coming in, because you could actually stock new movies for sale, and people were buying them like crazy. You know, Disney titles for the kids' collections, their old favourites and stuff. So you were able to have this extra little source of revenue coming in. Not that there was a big markup on it, not very much, but you were turning over a lot of product there for about 2 years, and then within 12 months that just simply died. It just died off.
The one big effect when DVD came in was that all of a sudden all the back catalogue stuff got released that previously hadn't been released on VHS, and in all the old Kurosawa movies and all the old Fellini movies and things like that suddenly started to get a release. I'm assuming because it was cheaper to produce than tape. But with Blu-ray, it wasn't really a game changer.
It's just a different game. Like now everyone's got a home theatre at home. So people aren't even going to the cinema anymore. But it's not just that. You're not leaving the house. It's not the journey to get the movie and bring it back home, which was always a part of me. Same as buying records, same as anything like that.
That's right.
And I think younger people now, it's just so disposable. Have you seen that film? Yeah, it's a piece of shit, you know, whatever kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas we used to love it. Sit up late at night, watch the making of films on TV, even before VHS players came out, you know.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, even though if it was a crap movie, you still kind of appreciate it, because you go, oh yeah, it wasn't so bad. But like now, like you just go, oh no, you know, you won't even watch it because I've downloaded that. I didn't pay any money for that, you know.
Yeah.
Is the other thing. It's like you don't actually go into that. I suppose you don't really even analyse it properly, because it is so downloadable. It's so instant. It's the whole instant thing that's become the thing that's ruined that factor of you appreciating movies.
Well, if you and I were going to a video store now, we'd probably spend a lot of time bouncing from one shelf to the other, going, hey, look, this guy was in that movie and it was really good. Oh, by the way, that director just actually made that movie, and oh, that director actually did this great movie. So it would be just bouncing and triangulating, and it would be just, yeah, talking about movies extensively for probably 2 or 3 hours and not even ending up picking a film. Because that's what I'm bad at, is just getting excited about movies. And I mean, what am I for already? I don't remember. Ah, yes, I was supposed to hire a movie. Yeah. But that's probably what would happen. And talking to the clerk about movies as well.
I think one film that every Australian should see, it's my favourite film that I'm in, called The Dish, about the Australia's contribution to the moon landing in 1969. It still remains one of my favourite films and one of my favourite jobs. So have a look at that, kids.
And this movie in particular, Bad Boy Bubby, I would highly recommend. Absolutely love giving it to backpackers. Even if it just gives them something to talk about with the Aussies, you know, when they're visiting them. But yeah, it always gets an interesting reaction. Not always a good one, but yeah, I definitely recommend people check that one out.
Mein Lieblingsfilm ist, das erzähle ich jedem. Hast du noch nicht gehört? Ist Ein Herz und eine Krone mit Audrey Hepburn und Gregory Peck. Das ist der schönste Film, den ich je in meinem Leben gesehen habe.
Und warum?
Ja, da ist alles drin, was ich mir von einem guten Film verspreche. Da ist Liebe drin, da ist Spannung drin, da ist Humor drin. Ich bin in Italien gewesen, in Rom, habe die ganzen Drehorte aufgesucht und habe auch alle fast gefunden. Also dieser Film ist für mich der allerbeste. Ich habe auch die Stelle mit dem Mund gefunden, da habe ich lange gesucht. Das ist eine kleine Kirche und da ist so ein schmaler Gang unten und dann kommt hinten dieses Löwenmaul, wo Gregory Peck seine Hand reinsteckt und sagt, wenn ich gelogen habe, dann wird mir die Hand abgebissen. Und dann zieht er die Hand raus und hat dann hier den Ärmel so, und dann kriegt der Audrey Hepburn einen riesen Schreck und denkt, das wäre echt eine tolle Szene.
I love films in general, but if I had to pick a favorite, it might be corny, but It's a Wonderful Life. It speaks to something very human and very, very universal in that, you know, any one person can affect the world and other people's lives in a profound manner.
My favourite film, though, if I had to narrow it down, would be The Sandlot Kids, just because it was my very first movie that I saw in the actual cinemas, so went along to that and just absolutely fell in love with it. I probably have a fear of dogs, though, from that movie, because there's a big dog in that movie, so yeah, and I don't know why I love it, but it's just, I think it's like a cult classic where you kind of look back now and you're like, wow, kids of today are trying to be in that fashion and that style, so yeah.
Well, that's a good question with a very, very boring answer. My favorite movie is The Empire Strikes Back. That not just because I'm a Star Wars nerd, which I am, but because I think it is a perfect romantic adventure. I don't know if I could tell you a movie that everybody should see, but that is without a doubt my favorite movie. I probably watch it once a month. It's terrific. I love it. Yeah, that's my favorite movie. I know it's not very exciting. You're hoping for something a little more esoteric, but you know, sadly, it's The Empire Strikes Back.
My personal favourite film of all time has got to be The Prestige. Christopher Nolan, right in between, just after he did Batman. It's got, you know, Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Scarlett Johansson, and David Bowie as Nikola Tesla. Like, it's... How do you...
Yeah. I agree. Very good film.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino says that this film is the Australian Straw Dogs. He makes special mention of it, and he seems to like it a lot. I think he says it's a genre film par excellence, or words to that effect. So Fair Game was something tailored for home video. With the disappearance of the home video shops, it will be very hard to get films like this, and that's such a pity, because you know, I've been involved with some of the art films that were made, and they're wonderful too, but these exploitation adventure films, horror films, slasher films that were made in Australia, if you're a fan of that genre, you should buy them when you can, and let's hope that they're always going to be available on DVD disc, not VHS anymore, but DVD is the quality way to get it. Fair Game is worth a look.
Mm-hmm. I've also got Fair Game. That's a bit more of like an Ozploitation film, a bit grimy, a bit dirty, but a great little thriller set in the outback.
Civic Video is one of Australia's largest and oldest chain stores. Though this is one of the smallest stores, it still has over 12,000 DVDs. Let's have a look inside. So, what kind of specials or deals you have at this store?
Deals. So today, you can get any 3 movies for $9.95. So that's $3.30 a piece. Or like your weeklies, you can get any 5 movies for $9. So that really makes it cheap when you're looking at only $1.80 a movie. much cheaper than the cinema, that's for sure.
Yeah, so if I say that I'm a kind of sucker for some chick flicks, where can I find the best ones?
Well, I guess the leading chick flick would be in the drama section. That's The Notebook. That's the
my favourite.
Probably the number one. It's your favourite?
Yes, for sure.
Good. Well, we'll get some Twilight and stuff for you too.
Yeah, yep. So right now we're in the Australian section. What's the best movie? Just by with your eyes and your experience, what's the best Australian film?
Well, first things first, we ask a question. What sort of thing are you in the mood for? Are you in for a laugh? You know, after something scary, a drama?
Let's say I'm going for a bit of a drama.
A bit of a drama? Probably Love and Other Catastrophes would be one of the ones I'd pick out. Animal Kingdom, another great watch. You could go a bit crazy with Bad Boy Bubby, or maybe
Wolf Creek.
Not
that one. Not that one. Wolf Creek probably.
Maybe
probably more
Wolf
so.
Creek if you want a bit of a scare, or one of Heath Ledger's Candy. Quite a few films. I mean, Australia does fantastic films, so there's plenty to choose from. The other question would be, who else is watching with you, or?
Well, probably my mum.
Yeah.
So what's a good movie for me and mum?
For you and mum?
Yeah.
Wow. What sort of films does your mum like? Pick this one from the Australian section, Red Dog.
Red Dog, yep.
Brilliant film.
Mum does sure like dogs, so that's a keeper.
Righto, let's go down a little bit. How about a sci-fi?
Sure. What do you got for us?
What have you seen? Have you seen The Fifth Element?
No, I haven't. What's that about?
Bruce Willis. Well, it's the Fifth Element is a special person that has to save the world. Yep. Of course, like all good sci-fis, you've got to save the Earth.
Love heroic. Let's go. Keep moving.
Righto. Now, you're a fan of The Notebook, is that right? Do you want to rewatch that or pick a new one?
Look, it is one of my favourites.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, we'll find it just here somewhere. There you go. Notebook.
Awesome. I'm crying already.
An action movie. Well, you've got this many Bond films to choose from in the Bond section. You've got Transformers, Kill Bill,
love it.
All of the Die Hard stuff. There's a lot of movies you can choose from that you probably won't find on your pay TVs and all that sort of stuff anymore. And really, we are the only place to still get those films.
For sure, yeah.
Some of your originals, you know, the old Predator films, a bit of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right, I'll take it.
Where are we? Intouchables.
There we go.
Now it is subtitled, French film.
Yep.
But absolutely 10 out of 10. I've recommended it to a couple of hundred people ranging from 16 through to 65, 70, and every single person has come back having a great laugh and really enjoying this film. True story.
That's enough for me.
It's the one.
Alright, sign me up.
Righto, let's join.
For sure. Thanks, Grant. See you next time. See you, buddy.
It's kind of sad in a way because people, you know, do come in here and that is their only interaction that they get with a human being, like on a day-to-day basis. So I just want to offer that service to them because it's a part of their life. It's the same with myself.
Naja, das habe ich ja gesagt. Das ist die Freude am Film. Die Freude, mit Menschen zusammen zu sein, mich zu unterhalten, Gespräche zu führen über Film und über Gott und die Welt, alles. Ne? Hier kommen die Leute teilweise mit ihren Problemen, mit ihren familiären Problemen und wir versuchen das auszudiskutieren. Hier haben Leute sich kennengelernt, Pärchen, ne? Und die Kinder von denen, die haben geheiratet, die Kinder von denen sind jetzt auch schon wieder Kunde bei mir. Und das ist eine schöne Sache, deswegen mache ich das gerne. Ne? Vor allen Dingen kann ich es nicht haben, wenn ich mit Altersgenossen zusammen bin, die genauso alt sind wie ich. Ich bin ja schon 79. Nächstes Jahr werde ich 80. Die unterhalten sich nur über Krankheiten und über Sterben und das brauche ich nicht. Ich möchte mich gerne mit jungen Leuten unterhalten, die diese Probleme noch nicht mit sich schleppen.
It's kind of cliche, but I really miss the people. You know, I've met a whole lot of really cool customers and had a whole lot of really cool conversations. You know, the best part of the job was sitting around and talking to people for half an hour about what my favorite movies were, recommending cool stuff, getting their recommendations for me. And yeah, just that interaction you can't get from anywhere else.
You either really like the feedback and the conversations and talking about movies, etc., all day long, and then when you recommend something to them and they come back the next day and say that was great, what else have you got? That's kind of the payoff. Or that was a great director you recommended, what else of his do you have?
I think there's something unique about the video store experience as opposed to browsing films online. I think it provides an important cultural venue for people to bump into one another and just to add to the community's culture. And I also think there's a very different experience in browsing the shelves of a video store and just happening across something that you might not have sought out yourself.
Ja, ich bin das erste Mal in meinem Leben in einer Videothek, weil sonst haben wir uns immer unter Freunden die DVDs ausgetauscht oder waren im Kino oder haben uns die DVDs tatsächlich gekauft oder halt im Internet uns die Filme angeschaut.
Und wie ist das so, diese völlig neue Welt für dich?
Erstmal verwirrend, weil es hier ziemlich groß ist und man sich erstmal zurechtfinden muss. Aber wir haben ja auch den Mann gefragt und der hat uns dann auch noch ein bisschen weitergeholfen und uns Tipps gegeben und ja, dann war das ein bisschen einfacher für uns, uns hier zurechtzufinden.
Okay. So, dann kommt mal hier. Ihr seid das erste Mal bei mir, ja? Ja. Dann brauche ich von einem der Damen den Perso. Okay. Aus Helsa, das ist ja auch nicht gerade um die Ecke rum. 34, da gibt es keine Videothek mehr, ne?
Nein.
Ja.
Da gab es auch noch nie eine.
Aha.
Höchstens in Kaufum dann, oder? Ja. Echt? Mhm.
Yeah, coming into work, I like the contact with the customers. Over that many years, you get to know them really well. You get to know, I mean, I've got little ones that were just little when they came in that are now sort of finished uni and qualified, and some of them bringing their own children in. So it becomes sort of a little bit of a community thing where you get to know them very well and what's happening in their lives.
To me, it's obvious. It's the interaction with the clerks, the physical interaction with the hard copies, the photos, the colors. To me, that's, as I like to say again, it's like the temple of film. You already have the impression that you enter a sacred place where films are available, where you can talk at length with someone about movies, ask people, you know, what they think about the movie, what other movies are available that are similar. Has this actor been in any other movies? Because I really like that actor. I mean, you can do your research on Google, but you're missing that warmth, that interaction, and that physical interaction between the hard copies and yourself. It's like going in a library, as opposed to reading a file of e-books on your computer screen. You know, it's there, and you can touch it, and to me it's very important.
It's December 15, 2016, and it's raining in Sydney. This is perfect movie viewing weather, and I know exactly where to go. Film Club Sydney opened in 2011 and still stocks over 15,000 DVDs. A large percentage of this range are older classics and rare films that are not put first in line on distributors' lists. It is a film buff's heaven. Can you help me find something that's so rare that no one else would find at any other video store?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
I would say something rare would be, let's see, The Pervert's Guide to Cinema.
Yes.
It is a film essay from Zizek, the cultural philosopher. Probably wouldn't find it anywhere else in Australia.
Fantastic, and that's definitely one of the most special things about your store is you really do have a lot of films that have never really been shown at any other.
Absolutely, we're all about filling the niches that are underserved by other outlets.
Fantastic. And just take me around your store, show me some other rarities, because I'm really interested to see what you have here.
Sure, well you can take a look in our classic section over here. you can see we're a little overstuffed, but yeah, I'd say Hobson's Choice.
Yeah.
Good old David Lean film from the 40s, I believe. And yeah, just a classic piece of British cinema. Perhaps Richard Linklater's Slacker, one of the early films of like the indie American movement of the 90s, and his first film. And perhaps something In a Lonely Place. Great old film noir with Humphrey Bogart.
Film noir is definitely one of my favourite genres. Excellent. Thank you very much.
What else can I help you with today? For a bit more of an older classic, A Matter of Life and Death is a great old Pressburger and Powell film set during World War II. I could recommend, let's see, Peter Jackson's Bad Taste.
Perfect.
That's a bit underwatched these days. And perhaps the British film Kill List. That's a bit underknown, I guess.
Yeah.
Strange little British one. Satyajit Ray's The Music Room, beautiful Indian film that is a little bit obscure. What can I tell you about The Room? The Room is one of those notoriously bad films. It's not even so bad it's good, just it's from another world entirely. It's where they make films differently.
You have me intrigued now. I might just grab that one. So one last film on my list, The Good Son.
Sure. Yeah. That's Macaulay Culkin as the evil kid.
Perfect.
Let's see. That one is right here.
Well, you definitely don't disappoint, Ben. Thank you very much.
Happy
I'll
to
be
help.
on my way. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Excellent.
It's like why I still buy CDs. Like people go, oh, why do you buy CDs? Why do you download music? I love having that tactile thing. I love going into a shop and looking at a movie and like choosing it that way, you know. And also too is the whole downloading thing has somewhat ruined the industry because, you know, people aren't making money on films anymore because people download and video piracy and all this sort of stuff. It was, you know, you used to have to physically go in and pay for a movie. So it was, you know, that money was going back into the industry to a certain extent.
Naja, die Technik schreitet fort und damit muss man halt leben, auch wenn es schwierig ist. Aber ich habe gesehen, dass die Schallplatte, die ja auch schon mal ganz weg war vom Markt, jetzt wieder eine Renaissance erlebt. Es gibt wieder Plattenspieler, es gibt wieder Schallplatten, es gibt wieder LPs und vielleicht lebt auch Video oder DVD mal wieder richtig auf. Könnte sein. Ob ich das noch miterleben werde, ist eine andere Frage.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed over the last few years in particular is how the whole viewing platform has changed. It's gone from being, you know, where a producer would hope to get their money out of the box office from a film and DVD sales and maybe television sales. That's now multiplied. There's all sorts of viewing platforms now, including things like Netflix. You know, you can download films. It's just the whole climate has completely changed.
One thing I'm absolutely passionate about is people buying a collection of some of the wonderful Australian movies that were made in the 70s and 80s here in Australia and have them for your children. Have a collection of those great films. If we're talking about children, there's Storm Boy, there's Bluefin, which is playing there. There's Fire in the Stone about Kubi P. There are just so many. Bush Christmas. There are so many wonderful family films. And if you don't go out and buy a library of them now, and it's not going to cost a lot of money, in 10 years' time it may not be possible to get them. Now, the new SVOD services that are coming into Australia, like Netflix for example, they're going to have wonderful things, but they're going to have the latest movies, and they may not have some of these early classics available when you want them.
Well, now that the store's actually closing down my collection at home, I've had to actually grab another shelf. Like, it's too big, it's getting ridiculous, but now that I'm out of a job, I may have to go home and start up my own video store from my house. But yeah, like categorizing, I don't do that yet, but I probably will with my collection. But yeah, that's the thing, because now I don't have anywhere to go to, so I want to build a full library at home, so yeah.
This store was always different even before I bought it. It has the population in the area to be able to buy the movies that I wanted to buy and the size to be able to afford them, and the budget to be able to buy virtually everything, which was always the goal. And it's just a factor of the area basically that this is, and the people who live here.
What we do here, two things we would do is we would have the unlimited movies. So you have weekly hire movies, which is probably 98% of the store, and you can pay $10 and watch whatever you like that week. You get them only a certain number at a time, but you basically just keep on getting movies all week. And it's good. There's a lot of people, say if someone's sick, they're stuck in bed, or they're on holidays, or some for mum, some for the kids. Everybody gets to watch what they want, and you can stop doing it whenever you like. You just do it for a week. There's no binding contracts or anything. Come and go as you please. We're open nearly every day, and yeah. The other thing that we do too, which I have never seen in any other video shop, is we select some movies and we'll put this orange dot on them. So every section, action, thriller, drama, sci-fi. It's not every good movie, it's not even the blockbusters usually, but it's usually a movie that's good, and you might, because it doesn't have such a great cover, it's just sort of saying, hey, have a look at this cover, it's a great movie. Everyone likes what they like though, so, this is one, The Green Mile. It's been out for a long, long time, but a lot of people never went near it when it came out, and because we put the dot on it, they try it, they absolutely love it. Everyone loves that movie.
Well, the main thing is that there aren't a lot of stores left, so we're still standing. We went nonprofit in 2014, so that's helped a lot. But the biggest thing that set Scarecrow apart from other video stores is our collection. It's the biggest in the world, as far as we know. About 130,000 titles right now. And there's, as far as we're aware, there is no bigger physical media collection anywhere on Earth, especially not one that's open to the public.
This store is located in an area that is fairly well dominated by the University of Queensland. So you have a lot of academic people in this area, and the demographics have always required me to branch into niche product. They're very much an audience that likes their international movies, their BBC titles, independent cinema titles, and we have over the years specialised in that and created a very large collection of French, Italian, German movies, a large TV collection with a big BBC component, and a lot of art house and independent cinema titles. One of these, probably one of the reasons that I had this, people will come from further afield to access titles that they would find available in a lot of video stores.
Well, I think that, obviously streaming is really convenient. I don't want to sit here and tell you that you shouldn't use Netflix or Amazon or whatever you want to use. Streaming is very convenient, and I think that's what is really hurting the business. People they're out of the habit of going to a place, checking out a movie, and then having to come back and return it. So I kind of like to call that a trap. That's a bit of a convenience trap. Obviously, we can't offer that kind of premium that a streaming service can, but what we can offer is not just a breadth of the catalog, but the knowledge of our staff. The people here, if you're using a streaming service, they can recommend you a title based on what you've watched, based on things like keywords or what other users have rated. But if you come to Scarecrow, you can talk to a staff member who has a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge and a brain and a heart, and they can recommend you something really cool. I like to say that with a streaming service, like with Netflix, you can watch what they've got and stay home, or you can come to Scarecrow and get something you didn't even know that you needed.
I'm an old-fashioned person. I used to love going onto a video store and picking out a DVD and taking it home and playing it, and also having just walking along the shelves and seeing all the variety that was there. And sometimes you'd pick a movie that you never would have thought you'd want to watch, but you'd say, oh, I've never heard of that one, or you'd see an actor you like and hadn't heard of that film. So that element's gone, I suppose. I just like that personal sort of hands-on, being able to select something and hire it and take it home. I also buy a lot of DVDs. I'm a bit old-fashioned. I don't download.
Ooh, video piracy and illegal downloading. It's a big no from me. A lot of my friends are like, why do you even still work at Blockbuster? You can just download everything. And I literally have never downloaded a movie in my life. I'm sure there's been others that have, but it's just, I don't know, you kind of feel a part of it if you're actually paying for a service. Like, if you're just downloading something for free, then I feel how it hurts everyone else. Like, you know, the filmmakers, to the actors, to the production company, to the people who actually sell the movie and product as well. So it's sort of like, what's the point? You don't, you know, you shouldn't do that.
Independent films, for example, will never recover their budgets if the film is leaked on the internet. And us as actors, we will suffer because there's less. If you get less money from one film, that means you don't have any money for your next film, and then basically it's gradually decreasing, and basically people go, why would I make a movie? Because I'm not going to make any money out of it. So people don't like to work for free, and you can make a movie in the name of arts, but you still need to eat.
There's a number of reasons that video stores are collapsing, but the main one is piracy. And if people aren't giving money to the industry, then smaller, more interesting films just won't be made.
You know, I want to see people who make art get paid for it, and I want to see the people who have spent all of that time and pride and joy and effort and passion to get what they deserve out of their work. I think that piracy is inevitable no matter what you're going to do. In fact, when video stores first started, we were accused of being pirates way back in the 80s. But I think that, yeah, that's generally a bad thing. You don't want to rely on that, and you want to make sure that the content that you're enjoying, the movies and the TV shows and the music that you love, are going to be able to keep coming to you. And that's not going to be able to happen if nobody's getting paid for it.
Everyone used to congregate at the DVD store to have a good time, take home the enjoyment, and then talk about it the next day or day later. And in this day and age, with everything's like now, we want now information right now. We're losing, I think, touch a little bit. It's good in a way where everything is now, so people can watch Game of Thrones per se and post about it straight up. But we're losing just that little bit of just a little bit of togetherness, nostalgia. And there's only 2 video stores left where I am, so the day they go, it will be sad. It will be an end of an era. I hate those little machines you go up to now and you put in the machine and press the button and it gives you a little disc. Never use them, never will.
See, I even looked into buying my own rental kiosks, but there's a lot of terms and conditions around those. Then they're good for just like your brand new stuff, but as far as all your old weeklies go, you can't get that anywhere in a kiosk. They don't stock, your top 100 movies. It's not categorized either, some of them, so it's just a bit hard, yeah.
Video kiosks were a big determining factor to the gradual disappearance of video shops in France in the 90s already. When I arrived in Australia in 97, I met a French person who was trying at the time to sell those video kiosks to major corporations in Australia, and he could not do it. The video shops were too strong. Gradually, it became an issue, and it replaced the video shops in Australia. But I think the demise of video shops in Australia is more due to the internet and the appearance of things like Netflix, all those pay-per-view sites, rather than the video kiosk. A video kiosk in France were definitely video kiosks in France were definitely one of the reasons why the video shop started to disappear. Undeniably so, because I've seen it when I was there, and it was mid-90s. They appeared here in Australia much later than that.
Do I think any video stores will survive? I would have loved this to be able to survive. Like, when I got the news, I was absolutely gutted, devastated. Like, this can't be happening. We're number 1 on the north side. But yeah, I think that there'll have to be, like, I wish there would be like one store that would survive, but it's got to have, I think, push from the government or the local council to protect it, because otherwise bigger businesses will just come in and take over. So I don't know how long it will be until the rest of them go, which is quite sad, because a lot of other people just, they don't care anymore. They don't see it as a viable business.
It would have to be suited for movie junkies. So there'd have to be a lot of cult films, a lot of rare films, and that kind of stuff. I think that's the only way I can do it. They'd have to be in the right place, but they'd have to do
It would have to be demographic, and it would actually have to be probably suburb-based or whatever. Like, you wouldn't open it somewhere, you know, that isn't going to appreciate that.
But you just got to remember, when DVD stores first opened in Australia, it was like about 1981, 1982, and it was $5, I can remember, to get a movie out overnight then. I mean, it's not $5 now, so how can they be making money? So I think they also need collectibles, posters, T-shirts.
Yeah, it has to be that whole thing where it is a movie buff place to go. Yeah, definitely.
Now, the last store standing would have to be a little corner shop, you know, like a little bookshop, where this old person, born in the 70s or the 60s, with his glasses and their pullover, jumper, will just tell you about that obscure, you know, Chechen movie or German art house movie with passion, and you will just listen with passion as well, and learn about what movies used to be or what movies are somewhere else in the world, and learn about the actors and learn about the locations, and be just listen, like, you know, and learn and be really moved by the passion of that person, which to me is something that everybody should have when they talk about films and they're really involved with films.
See, I always thought we were going to be the last store standing. I think the last store standing will have to be somewhere in a country town where there's not much to do, where maybe the owner owns the building, so he doesn't have to pay the rent, and it'll be a small little place like that where there's not much else to do, and I guess that guy or woman will be the last one standing.
I would say thank you very much for the good times as well, because it's as a teenager back in the 80s, it was quite good to go to the video store, that's for sure.
And it was fun. You just didn't know, and it was like the hangout for the town I grew up in. Everyone used to hang out at the Blockbuster video store or the Civic Video, and it was just fun. Like the 90s and the 80s were just fun times to be, you know, movie buffs. I think that's been lost a bit these days. It's a shame.
Jawohl, danke. Mach's gut. Schönen Abend, bis morgen. Ciao. Und ich sehe auch jetzt, dass ich höre jetzt im Ende Oktober offiziell auf, steige aus der Firma, und Gott sei Dank haben wir junge Leute getroffen von einem Kulturverein hier aus Kassel, der Randfilm e.V., die werden ab November diesen Laden weiterführen, aber ich darf 1-2 Mal die Woche als Ehrengast hier tätig sein.
Also ich finde es eine gute Lösung, dass es hier weitergeht. Das Lebenswerk vom Ecki wird weitergeführt von jungen Leuten, die genauso fanatische Filmfans sind wie Ecki. Und ich finde es halt auch gut, dass er hier 2 Tage arbeiten kann. 89. Wir gucken mal die Hülle an, ja? Ja. Ja? Ja.
Er hat ja auch erzählt, er hat seinen Job geschmissen, ne?
Genau, also wenn man so einen Laden führt, dann kann man das nicht halb machen, da muss man schon mit voller Begeisterung auch dabei sein. Und wir von Randfilm, wir sind 14 Mitglieder, die alle unglaubliche Filmfans sind. Und wir haben einfach Spaß, die Filme in die Hand zu nehmen und damit zu arbeiten. Und so geht es dann auch weiter.
Here in my possession I have 7 films I've never even heard of before. And searching the shelves with Ben Kenny is what makes the video store experience so exciting. It's about walking in and finding something you've never even heard of before. Or it's about walking out with the perfect pick.
Thank you very much. See you again soon, mate. Bye.
The movie experience doesn't start when you press play, nor does it finish when the credits roll. The movie experience starts when you first hear of the film and will only ever end when you no longer remember it. These films, I'll never forget.
Hey guys, we've got 5 minutes left. 5 minutes and then it's it for good.
I can't believe you guys had $1,300 in late fees.
I did. That's the point, so you know what you spend this time.
Okay, cool.
This is it. 7 years of my life gone.
It's an end of an era. Thanks for 35 years at the store. These guys behind us have been here through it all. We've had highs, we've had lows, but now let's end on a bang!
And we're going to miss you so much and what you've done for us here. This is the end of a 20 years of DVD. It started so promisingly, and now with video on demand, it's all coming to an end tonight. I don't know what we're going to do for our continental movies, those special things, and your wonderful taste in movies. Anyway, I'd like to propose a toast to you for everything you've done for us, and we're going to miss you so much.
Thank you very much.
So to you, Anne.
To Anne. Thank you.
To Anne, ladies and gentlemen. To Anne.
To Anne. Cheers.
To Anne.
To Anne. Thank you.
Seven years she's been an employee here. Meg's had a great time in our store, haven't you? We actually left, like, I left for a year, Meg left, Nick left, and we've all come back because we're just family. We don't want to leave.